Thank you for joining. My name is Laura, and I will be your moderator today. Today's session is titled Quality Management of BIM in Construction Phase. The speakers for this session are Ken Ando and Scott Bailey. This session is scheduled to last 90 minutes, including the questions at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. I would like to bring to attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent, and standards that developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, non-binding, and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. Now I would like to hand over to Ken.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning. I'm Ken Endo, construction domain, the steering committee member. Welcome to our session in the morning. And do you feel energetic today? Are you okay? So it's Thursday, so you feel some kind of tired, but let's enjoy the session. Yesterday, the same time, same room here, we had the CD1, Construction Domain 1 session, and many of you joined, and we feel the very good response and many feedbacks. And what I felt yesterday was the BSI. There are 10 the main major domains, and then they are divided by the object of the building. For example, the airport and infra building, like this, water power, like this. But we mainly construction manager, or the who has the responsibility to run the site. They want to know how to manage construction site. So not getting the information of updated IFC or domain extension of IFC, but you need, and then the technical matters, you need much more the holistic information, how to run the site very efficiently and productively. So the construction domain has a role of that. So the first three, it's the objectives of the domain. The objectives. First one is advance the digitalization of construction. Next, develop site environment, best practice based on Open BIM, and provide Open BIM education to the construction industry. So we just try to do like this one. And then the BASA, the silo of the BSI. So we want to know how to manage the IFC itself and then the site. So, and the next one is the scope. And then today, we mainly explain about those three, the document sharing and management, and project information management and collaboration, and then including communication technologies. And why we set this title of the presentation like this, the quality management of BIM in construction phase. The quality management is based on the manufacturing industry. And then there's the inspection process. And then you must manage the line. And then how to create a very high quality product is the mainstream. But when we adapt this mind to the construction, what we should do is the question. And then we found that the managing data is very important. And then it's directly connect to the quality of the BIM model. And then it's affect to the quality of the building. It's our basic fundamental philosophy. So today, I'd like to do fast pitch, 30 minutes, and then QA session, and then hand over to Scott. And my session is from very beginning of the fundamental technique of how to manage construction site using CDE. And the next, Scott will much more get into deep side about the property, how to set the proper property set, and then to start the project very efficiently. So, and then this chart, do you know very well, I guess. I wrote here ISO 19650, but it's misinformation. I'm sorry, but it's truly the BS 1192. It's the chart of the BS British standard. And then the ISO 1965 is modified of British standard. So the theory and then the philosophy is the same, but I text to Marvin Richard directly a few days ago. And then he said it's not ISO, and then it's BS. So I want to amend here. It's not, the title is wrong, and it's the British standard. So this chart, it starts from here and then round. And it's the life cycle of the building construction. And the first step, the EIR from the employer or the owner are created. And then request to the execution, the site, the general contractor or designer. So we create a BEP here. And then ideally, master information delivery plan. It's not common here in BSI, but after creating BEP, it's better to create the total holistic, the master information delivery plan, including operation and management phase. So from here, this green one is the common data environment. So, and then the green area is the volume of the data. So initially, the data volume is very small, and then gradually it's increasing. And here's the operation starts, so the end of the construction. So in this construction phase, it's very important to keep or create the very qualified quality BIM models here. If we can create the very good information here, then we can reuse those information in operation and management. So how to manage the BIM data here and then keep quality is very important. And in this session, I mainly focus on this area. So it's building and the commission. So it's the construction phase. And before construction phase, some handover phase from design to the construction. It is at the definition phase. So from this area to handover to the operation management, this area is today's the main area. And then there are two parts. Basically, the fundamental, the data, the geography model, and then the additional non-geographic data. So we can say like this, the geographic model, the 3D. And then the non-geographic data, it's the property. So my presentation, I mainly talk in this area and then pass to Scott later. So today's presentation is quite personal, not the universal. It's from my experience as a BIM manager, BIM IT manager in Kajima of Japan. So you may have some question how we do. But after this session, that we can have the discussion. And then that's my main purpose to talk here with you. So it's the main, our software ecosystem in our construction phase. So it's very simple. So at the center is CDE. And it's Katenda Hub. Do you know Katenda Hub? If you know, please raise your hand. You know, any of you? Yes. Katenda is very famous and then have been sponsored, the BSI. And then in this building summit, you do the sponsored. And then here, I invite Howard Belderson, the founder of the Katenda, to assist my presentation. So please raise your hand, Howard-san.
I think the important thing here is that we open BIM work, and we work really hard to make sure that things work in an open BIM way. So the connection with Delivery there and with Rebro, Tekla, Autodesk, ArchiCAD is all using the open CDE API standards, so the BCF standard, et cetera, So we're really happy to be doing that. And I think that's a fundamental for the users in the long run. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Betty-san. So, but I don't want to explain much or the detail, the function, every function of Katenda Hub today. So if you have any question, please contact to Betty-san directly after the session. And of course, we just use the Katenda Hub's limited function, basically, not all the function. So what I said is not the whole function. There are many additional functions, but I won't explain this session. So that's what I want to say beforehand. So left-hand side, here's the 4 major authoring soft. And the first one is ArchiCAD. We use, or internal Kajima, that we use the ArchiCAD as the standard software, authoring software for architecture model. And the next Revit, that we used mainly for structure model. And then Rebro, the third one, it's Japan-made the software, so maybe you don't know precisely about it, but it's quite major software in MEP industry in Japan. And then Tekla is for the steel detailing software. So all those 4 are the main key player of the authoring software. And then we export all those data by IFC and then federate and share it on the Katenda Hub. And the right-hand side is not authoring soft, but for checking or documentation, we use mainly Solibri. So it's the very fundamental, the software, the series suite of the construction BIM. And then I add a player here. So left side and then here, yellow background person are Kajima's staff. So the Katenda Hub, it is managed by BIM manager. And then also they check, construction managers check all those the files uploaded to Katenda Hub. And then left-hand side, ArchiCAD its modeler is our internal staff mainly. Some cases we outsource, but internally we create architecture model. And then I want to emphasize document control's role is very big to run the CDE operation. And then successful BIM manager nominate this document controller or hire from outside to make those data the standardized and then the in order. And the rest, all those structure engineer and then the MEP engineer modeler and then the fabricator, they are all outside the person of Kajima. So yes, what I said, and then I repeatedly saying, but all those information are uploaded by those modelers. But before uploading those models, document controller checked all those information and then file names. So that's the very important key success factor of running the CDE. Yes. So yes, and then the year 2023, we start migrating the Katenda Hub to our construction site. And Kajima is a very big general contractor worldwide. But first of all, we start to migrate it in Japanese site, our site. And then usually we have the more than 250 construction sites. And then we start to migrate it one by one. And now the approximate number of 150 projects in Japan have been hosted by Katenda since the 2023. So that's the information today is from my experience watching all those projects run on the Katenda Hub. So the firstly, I want to say very simple rules. And then it's kind of conclusion of this presentation. Just 2 rules. And many of you know how to run or use the CDE. And then yesterday, I saw many presentations about using the CDE. But in this presentation, I'd like to show you some very fundamental, simple rules. And then you can bring back these rules, and then you can use from tomorrow's your site work. That's my purpose. So the first one, define file name convention and keep it strictly. It's very simple, and then it's very, very fundamental in IT world. But if you don't keep it strictly, our CDE process does not work well. So we decide and define the file name convention by date of BIM coordination meeting, by a discipline, and by company. So it means year and month and date, and then discipline comes next, and then company. So every company who create BIM model, the name like this, the year, month, architecture model, Kajima's model, IFC. So that's the very important standards and rule. And the second one, there are sub number 1, 2, 3, but the control model version by status of model. What I mean status is the work in progress, shared or published. Those 3 status, there are for the model. So clarify that you divide the area and then work the very separately is the very important. If you mess up all those information on same folder or same CD, that's caused many overwork, extra work. And the next one, by date of BIM coordination meeting. It's very simple, but it's very useful. You keep your tact routine process and then keep it, and then you can expect much more the frequency, much more the productivity. And the next one is the by federation. We should think about what BIM model and what BIM model will be the federated. So if you gather all the information IFC in one CD and then create the federation model, the data volume will be much bigger, and you cannot handle in one file, federation file. And I guess many of you experienced a very big BIM model, and then the federate with the Solibri or the Navisworks, and then you can't handle with your PC. So I guess many of you bring the very big laptop, and it's the character of the BIM person. But I wanna unleash that situation and then bring the very light, the PC, and then work very lightly is my concept. So first of all, I'll explain, elaborate one by one. The successful BIM manager sets meeting routine. So in construction phase, it does not start from at the beginning of the construction, of course. And so we need much advanced time. And before, we don't have much time just for handover. But recently, it's quite key, the success factor, front at the end of elementary design. Ideally, we construction person join to this front loading the session with the design part and prepare for construction. And so the good BIM manager take very long time for front loading and set the meeting like this routinely. And ideally, 8 to 10, the federation meeting should be operated before the starting of the BIM construction. So, and then the process is like this. Normally, the construction manager set bi-week the operation, federation meeting. So it means the 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, the one meeting. So here is the coordination meeting. And they set some deadline for the submission of the BIM to the Katenda hub before, 3 days before. And so all the members of the modelers can work and then must submit the model at the deadline here. And then their work, locally, is not on the CD of the Katenda. Katenda does not have authoring functions. It has a very strong viewer, and then some measurement or the slicing, the function, or the document management, the repository. But locally, there is the ArchiCAD BIM Cloud server. So the Kajima's architecture model, the creating modeler, the work on the BIM Cloud server with the native file of PLN. That things happen in the other discipline also. So structure model, the Revit is used for the modeling. So that they use Autodesk Construction Cloud, ACC, and then they create the file by RVT, a native file. Revit also, but it does not have the dedicated cloud system. So we used Box. And then Tekla also, they have the Tekla modeling sharing cloud services. So this is very important. So every discipline, the frequency of the updating the model are different. Some model they update very frequently like this, MEP model every day, and ArchiCAD model every 2 days, and then structure model just 2 times like this. And imagine if you upload all those the version to Katenda Hub by IFC, it takes a very long time. The uploading itself needs the several minutes and some case the hour. And if they all those on to the Katenda Hub, it's very messy, and we can see which one is the truth file, the updated, the newest file. Finding newest file is very difficult, and then it's quite tough to handle all those models. So just the deadline, the one file of shared file should be uploaded is our policy. So to do precisely, the assistant will work very good. Has the very big role. So checking the file name, and then here's naming rule convention, check the convention, and then the upload all those, assisting uploading the files to CDE. So, and then the rest 3 days, all the member of the construction, the check federation model. But here's another the point. Initially, it's better to set the federation of the files. It means the structure model and MEP model should be federated to check the congestion or the clash of the pipe and then the beam or column. So those pair should be the named Federation 1 or 2. So if you do not do categorize or make this combination, the first lead, you check or federate all those 40, 50 IOC model, and then you must handle very heavy model. But if you do the federation like this, and then Katenda has a very good function of the bookmark. So you can check ABC file for a Federation 1, and then file the A, C, D for Federation 2. And then you can make the bookmark. So just clicking the bookmark, and then only 3, the pair of file shown. And then you can start checking the class check on the Katenda Hub. And the day of the coordination meeting, the class check the buildability. So it's not only for the checking the BIM model, but how to build from the construction manager. Checking all those, the buildability is much more important. And then assign the BCF to a responsible company, and create BCA report. So if we create this, the federation pair, we can very good classify the BCF report. BCF report also the named like this, named with this the federation model. So the structure MEP federation model BCF and date, if you name like this, you can very easily understand which model and which model you compare and then find the BCF. So I want to come back to the first rule. So the rule 1, define file name convention is okay here. So check the rule 2 one by one. Control model version by status of model. Take a look this one. So this local, the CDE area, and then the shared and published CDE area are totally divided. So these WIP, work in progress data, are updated here only in local. And the shared area, only those, the shared file, and only one version for one coordination meeting. Just those the file uploaded to Katenda Hub. Next one, by date of BIM coordination meeting. Yeah, so here, and 3 days before, only this timing, they can upload to the shared CDE. That's a very big and then important rule. And next one, by federation. So as I mentioned here, you can make the federation the first, and then you will reduce the later work to make the BCF report. So all done here. So what I want to say in this slide is keep single source of truth. Here I write the single data of truth, and then I today explain the file of truth. So it's very fundamental level. And then now you are very interested in the incremental BIM model, just uploading and replacing the updated particle of data. But fundamentally, we should start from file management very precisely. And then you can move to much sophisticated management technique. So it's the rest of the presentation is some extension of this workflow. I explain this workflow, the ERR and the BEP, and it starts the project. So the file model are categorized like these 3 status: work in progress, shared, publish. So this cycle runs. And then we use the class check and the BCF report, issue BCF report to make this the feedback to keep BIM model qualified. And it's about the geometry check. And if you add this IDS check flow, we can check also the property. So 2 of them, if you do, you can check geometry check and also the property check as well. So after the QA session, I want to hand over to Scott. Thank you very much. Yes. Some question. Can I?
Can you start?
Yes.
And
Okay.
you need such.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or observations for Ken?
So thank you, Ken, for your presentation. I have one question. When you, on that slide, you shown that each team has their own common data environment and they upload to the common CDE. Yeah.
Yes, this one.
Yeah. When they upload to the common CDE, they upload them with their naming, internal naming convention, and then the reviser of the naming convention goes to the common data environment that's for all and changes the name. Is like that? Did I make myself clear? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
okay.
a very good question. Thank you very much. So it depends on the site. If the site, the scale of the site is middle size or small size, then we ask the modeler of the specialized company to keep this convention. But the huge scale, the project, they handle more than 50 IOC files. So it means the 50 modelers. So they'll upload to Katenda Hub by themselves. It's very we need some assistance. So the role of the document controller assist before uploading this file to Katenda Hub.
So the question is, how do you relate and how can you relate when you have some issue with that version? How can you relate easily their internal version with the version that it's on the Katenda Hub?
Yes, shared version. So every 2 weeks in this case, the shared model is uploaded to Katenda Hub.
Yeah, I understood that, but imagine they have their own naming convention and then they upload to Katenda Hub with their naming convention, and then someone comes and changes the name to the convention name for the project. And if somehow you need to retrieve and tell them, okay, you uploaded this in this date, this is the version,
Yes.
official version, which how does it relate to your version on your own on your common CD on your own CDE?
I guess it's internal, the effort to keep the which WIP file and the which shared file relate to the managing, and then the
When it's internal, it's the project team that needs to know which one is related to the one that is on the. Okay.
And then the Katenda also has the naming convention definition, the function. So it can make year, month, date, and then discipline, and then the company names. All those definitions we can set, but if they miss the name or that set the wrong name of the company, it cannot be checked by Katenda. It's just the definition, not the true data. The true or not is it's all to the modeler. So the assisting or checking those file name is the role of the document controller.
I am asking this because I had to set a common data environment to a project, a big project in Portugal, and I couldn't manage all the teams to use the naming convention that I established in their own offices. And then when they upload to the common data environment, I change the name. I do that job.
Yes.
But sometimes they cannot retrieve, and it would be good for the common data environment to, like a metadata, save the original name that they used on
Yes.
their on their own CDE, so we can kind of go back in time and match the version that with the name that we
Yes.
standardize with their internal naming convention, because I have seen in this process as a BIM manager sometimes a misunderstanding because of that.
Yeah, I understand very well. But, and then, of course, I skipped the explanation of Katenda, but it has some selection of the data status. So WIP document, you can set and from pull down, and then restrict only the few person has the right, can to see that the shared file.
And I think it should be very simple, like that. This is the original name, like save that. This is already, and it was transformed to this name, something like this.
Oh, yeah. So if you set that kind of the some name convention for WIP file and then the shared file, it works. And it depends on the project and then what kind of software or CDE you use. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a question about the. So you're doing this in every second week. So your work on the work in progress is based on coordination with other disciplines. Is looking at a model that can be up to 2 weeks old. Kind of the repro people, they will continue to update the model based on I don't know, an ArchiCAD model that might have changed, but kind of. They're not getting real-time updates. It's only if the second week they will get input. Is that is that sufficient for people doing that, or kind of the practice that you have chosen that? They're kind of they make something and maybe somebody's doing something else, and then the solution is not working, but it will take 1 week before they see that it would actually not fly.
Yeah, it's we need some more discussion, but in this case, we want to concentrate. We want all the modeler concentrate to their own model. So just the single task, working on their own, the CDE. So for Graphisoft user, they work together on Graphisoft BIM Cloud CDE. It can provide a collaboration function. So many of us can collaborate to create ArchiCAD model and with PLN, the native file. And then next step, the change to and export it to the public or shared CDE. So the work is single task anytime. So uploading and then this public CDE and also local team CDE simultaneously every day is very messy. So that this is under that philosophy that we set this kind of the rule. But you can, of course, modify this rule and shorten this duration to the 1 week. And the 1 day before, you set the deadline of the submission. And then you can also run your CD operation very precisely. But it's in case, depends on case, is my opinion. Thank you.
Great presentation. I have two questions which are quite technical. The first one is that humans make mistakes all the time, and how are you checking the quality of the IFC file to ensure it meets standards? Are you using Sleepy Model Checker, buildingSMART Checker? Is the document manager doing it themselves prior to federation, so the quality first? The second question is more looking to the future. With IFC 5 coming in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, however long it takes this to be done, do you see your workflow enhancing, and how do you see it potentially influencing the way that your organization works?
First question is, repeat again, please.
It was the federate. How do you check the IFC model quality?
Model quality. So it's for the clash detection mainly, the purpose is. to create the federation model. But each the model should be checked. You mean, is that the, So it's another difficulty, but we set the model rule for the internal modeler. So they do use the template or some guide to how to model the ArchiCAD model. But the others, some specialized company working together, we can't provide all those the manual or guide. So it depends on each company. But if you qualify the data much more, I guess you should set or add some description here in BP and then give it to all the company you work together. And then at the same time, if you define IDS, so in this property set, the data blah 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 should be written like this, the number or some text that you can define with the IDS, and then check these ads in the same process. So set the deadline, and then every submission, someone or the individual, the modeler, the check using the IDS, and then submit before checking the model before submission. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Any idea on how to? Say one question. IFC5?
IFC5.
Affect your workflow?
Oh, yes. I guess it's affect and then change the workload dynamically. And then much more, shorten the period of updating the process. But it's the reality here is in the early stage of the federation, not all the company join, but gradually the MEP model, MEP the company or elevator company, those kind of the small, specialized, very specialized company join. So that it's very difficult to set the same start line. So gradually, it's better to move to the incremental BIM model management. But initially, the very early stage, it's much better to manage by file. It's my opinion at this moment. Thank you. I guess it's time to handle.
Okay, if I may just. So first, when I look at your presentation, congratulations. First, it's a great presentation, and it reminded me on what Dostoevsky said. Every happy family is very similar, and every unhappy is unhappy its own way. So in this case, if you see now what Katenda is doing, or for example, what Bexel is doing, it's literally the same things, same workflows, and everything done in the same open way. That's really, I like, because, and that's the right way. That's, of course, our opinion. But I just have two questions and one small suggestion. So question one is maybe for Howard or for you. So when you see how you transfer from, let's say, ACC to Katenda, is it a direct connection to ACC, and then you export to IFC using ACC engine? Is it that way?
So there's a plugin in Revit. So there is a plugin in Revit that uses the OpenCDE API to transfer files. But how Kajima uses it, I think, varies from project to project and how they want to do it. So, yeah.
Okay, but it's not a direct, or it is just, is it direct connection to the ACC, or export to IFC and then upload it to Katenda?
Yeah, my answer is not directly from ACC to Katenda Hub, but here's the what's the name of the plugin? Yes, plugin. So the Katenda also make the plugin for the Tekla level arcade all those. So within the menu of these authoring soft, there's exporting the function appeared, and then you can directly upload to here.
My next question is it, do you store on Katenda, Hub more versions or just one of them? Can you compare, for example, on Katenda, everything which is shared and published with, let's say, previous versions, how quantities are changed or costs and so on? So do you have that ability, or you have a single?
Yes, so what I skip the important the function, but the Katenda, it has the version, the management, the function. So if you upload the same name file to the discipline folder, it's uploaded and then automatically the number assigned. So you can anytime go back to see the previous version. Okay.
Thank you. And just one suggestion. Maybe interesting. If you can go back to slide before. So let's say it's suggested in our also workflow, automatically divide up by additional, split it according to location. So just give you example, you have 1,000 kilometer railway. You don't want to load entire discipline, but just a certain, I don't know, couple of kilometers. And the same goes if you have, I don't know, 20 buildings and the same site, you want also to divide up per location or per floor. So just maybe you can consider adding additional level. Let's say in Bexel you have automated way how it split original IFC files into location-based also smaller chunks, not just by discipline and company.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
But Billy, great, congratulations.
All right, so we hand over to Scott.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, my voice is a little, had a good night too. I'm only going to mention AI once, and I've just done that. I'll only mention IFC 5 once, and I've just done that. It's quite a different kind of conversation today. And I hope it is a conversation, because this is just putting an idea out there for us to have a look at. Just look at the context of what contractors have to face when it comes to dealing with digital information. A proposal, an open BIM pledge. I'm sure a lot of you already know of Dion Malt, who gets involved, who is really a major person behind Blender Bonsai BIM. He works in Australia, I work in Australia too, and the Open BIM pledge has come out of that conversation. There's a link there. Unfortunately, with the way the tech's set up, I won't be able to go to the website, but if you want to sort of open that up at some stage. So what is the context for contractors? Basically, they receive stuff from other people. Now, Dion works for a large tier 1 contracting company, Land Lease. I work at Geometry Gym with John Merchant, and we do consulting for large contractors. We face the same issue. The files that they receive, the ones that we deal with, often are imperfect. So like the comment over there, yeah, humans aren't perfect, their production is not perfect. And so the quality varies. Why is this still the case? We've been talking about this sort of stuff for over 20 years. How come some standard stuff is not better? So how can we actually define some of this stuff? And maybe a conversation we could have. So I just put a couple of images up. In this case, I'm looking at a structural file in Celebri. Probably a bit hard to tell the actual detail there, but the file came from Revit. The thing that's a pile has actually been exported as a slab. That's very common because the person who exported this hit the IFC export button, and that's the result that they got. And they said, you asked for IFC, you've got IFC. It's unhelpful. Anyone faced that kind of issue here? One. Oh, it must be more. Oh, two, three. Okay. Well, I better put my hand up. Four. The other thing is georeferencing, and the little image down the bottom there. I'm sure you've faced the same thing. You receive files from other people. Everyone thinks their job is perfect. It is, and it's really good. When you do a clash detection, you get very little clashes. So it actually helps coordination because, again, if things are not in the same location, there's no clash. So here's this idea of an open BIM pledge. The context is, how can we promote the knowledge in this group, in buildingSMART community, of the depth of the IFC schema? And at the moment, I think we collectively use probably about 25 to 30% of the concepts that exist in the IFC schema. So if we could burrow down a bit more, maybe we could get some better quality information. And wouldn't it be nice if we had clearer ideas about what the content of models are? So the Open BIM pledge is to kind of sort of try and do this. As I mentioned yesterday, a lot of this stuff has kind of been solved by large contractors and hopefully large consultants, but the tier 2s, tier 3s and the smaller contractors and consultants, they haven't solved a lot of this. And I think we as a community could help solve this. So when Dion, he was up at 1 a.m. at night and he sort of did his blog on the Ozark site, and there's a lot of words there. So I've tried to condense this into a few graphics that might make it a bit more accessible, but if you want the more detail, it's on the website. So, and the concept is, wouldn't it be nice if people could sign up to the pledge and say, we're going to operate at a particular level? I'll explain that. So there's the Ozark website. Again, this is Dion's kind of site and Dion's conception, and I've just been assisting a little bit in the context that I've kind of had experience in. So when I originally sort of tried to distill what he'd said, I was trying to put a graphic in on one page, because sometimes when you go to a website and you scroll down and down and down and down, it's really hard to kind of get a conception of what's going on. This was the first way I conceived of it. And so I think it's kind of a way of doing it. So right at the bottom, tier 0 is, it's an IFC file. Basically, you asked for it, I gave you one. I have no idea what the content is, but it's your problem. So in the contract, it says, give me an IFC file. Like that one I showed before, and the other ones, what is the content? Don't know, your problem. So if we could kind of aim up a little bit, tier 1 would be, I guarantee that everything in there has been mapped to an IFC class. And also, I acknowledge what IFC version it is. So at least you know what expectations are. If you get an infra model at 2x3, generally geolocation is probably not existing, or maybe they've hacked it a bit. So at least, I've got an IFC file and I kind of know what I'm looking at. Next level up, I've got precise IFC class and predefined type, because maybe the person who set up the project says, we want these things mapped that way. And if they have that definition, then theoretically, no, actually, we should expect the common properties that go with pile or beam or whatever to be there, and then also the quantity properties that come out. So, at level 2 there, I've got an IFC class and predefined type and some data. And then as we go up, there's more ways of kind of adding to the quality of what we're doing. And the kind of the dilemma then came was that really all the areas at the top, they're the specialty areas. And you kind of go, well, aren't we sort of talking about things in kind of sort of a streamed way? So that was the first kind of conception. The next one is like this. So sorry to be, I will zoom in on this, but the idea is that there's common information that we expect. There is a design component, and then we've got various specialities after that. So basically, things like we expect that thing to have particular properties at, say, a tier 1 in a common stream, and so on. I won't go into that too much detail. Now, here's a bit of detail. The common stream would apply to everything. So you might say, you really can't, can people read the detail of that? Oh dear. Okay, well, when you get the slides, okay, I'll explain it a bit more then. So, okay, so the common stream would apply to any IFC file. So you can say, well, my file, I want it to be at level 3, so I've got name attributes, the attributes there for name and description and so on. And as you go up, you might say on a project, you know, I'm really starting out, so I'll aim for tier 1 just so that things there are classified correctly. And then as we go down, there's greater level of detail. When it gets to, on the common stream on the left-hand side there, tier 4 is I'm using BSDD and I've written it myself, and so you can expect there's something different there. So that's kind of a way of looking at the detail. In the design stream on the right-hand side, you might say, I've got an architectural model. Oh, sorry, I've got an architectural model, and I'm going to have it geo-referenced. So that's the first level there. The next one down, there's spatial hierarchy. So that is kind of embedded in that. When it comes to infrastructure, that's really quite important. And then, you know, tier 3, all the geometric data is to an LOD, and we can use it for defining clash detection by IFC classes. So that's kind of, and the design would mean any type of discipline, we could specify this. Again, you can't really read that as well. Structural information. So if you have a structural model, you might get down to the stage where I actually want to have the analytical components in that. But at the start, it may not have that. So again, we're signing up for a structural model of a particular level of detail. When it comes to services, all the services there are connected to an IFC system, and then we can actually filter and search for that. As it goes down, something of greater detail might specify the port that those pipes or ducts are connected to, and have an indication of the flow, so we can start checking the models in terms of the actual quality of the design. Some of these other ones are not as well developed yet because, again, Dion had a bit of a brain explosion doing this, and I've been sort of helping out with this. But when it comes to, say, something like cost, there are IFC properties that we can then latch onto, whereas I think cost has really not been anything we've kind of used the IFC schema for well enough. So when it comes to cost and the construction stream, there are things like cost item and can't even read that from here. Yeah, cost value. And then when it comes to the construction, there are tasks and construction resources and so on. So by using the IFC schema, we can then hopefully get a more common use across our industry. And then the last three here at the moment, sustainability. If we're wanting to include sustainability data, where should it go in? And it may well be that in our conversation here and ongoing, we will add to the detail of this. Asset and FM stream, what's actually required there, what IFC properties we could actually latch onto. When it comes to sustainability, there's this whole part of the IFC schema, which is environmental impact indicators, which relates, there's about 15 or 16 parameters there, and there's one specifically to greenhouse gas equivalent emissions. And when people are trying to do carbon reporting, in my experience, they put in a parameter which is they make up their own. Well, it would be good if we had sort of standard ones. And then the infrastructure stream, that was a bit of a thought the last couple of days about IFC alignment, because you really can't have much of a useful infrastructure file unless you include alignment. So here's something you probably can't see at all either. But the intention is that on a project, you might say, I've got all these different types of definitions I'm after. And so I've got down the left-hand side there on the little spreadsheet at the bottom, I've got discipline, and then what level of IFC level am I going to apply on this project? And so it can kind of vary a lot. So you know, on the architectural side, I'm aiming really high. I've got tier 4, and people go, "Wow, that's impressive," because they're the sort of the defined data that people can expect. In terms of design, it's only level, it's tier 3. Yes, we want some costing parameters. Yes, we want some sustainability parameters. And yes, we're aiming to put this into FM. So at least we've got some placeholders there for that. And then others, it may not be necessary. So this is kind of a way of hoping to actually help the conversation. So when people are starting to exchange things, we can actually have some confidence. As I mentioned, this came out of a conversation of data that contractors have to deal with. Now, of course, contractors generally don't have to create most of this stuff, but consultants do. So, and I think people downstream have to be a bit more clearer of what they can ask for and should ask for. So in a case like that, hopefully contractors who sometimes have a bit of muscle in the industry need to push up. And when it comes to, say, them dealing with their clients, can say, well, if we actually deal with people who produce better stuff, we're de-risking projects even more. Okay, so this is just a bit of an idea putting out there. That's just sort of another version. You can kind of change that the way you like. But again, this idea of how can we actually understand and classify the IFC schema in useful ways that people can deal with and include in models. So Dion was kind of wanting to push the button a bit. He sort of said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get people to sign up for this and go, yeah, I think for an architectural company where we'll aim to be a tier 3, and the kind of thing is, what if we actually met up every twice a year and said, here's a project that I think achieves that. And so we're raising the level of competency and production in the industry. Online generally, because people are scattered all around the world, and share lessons. So is this actually achieving an end? Is this a worthwhile thing? And also getting some feedback. If this is rubbish, or it could be better, we're open for that sort of a conversation. But how can we make the complex world a bit simpler to deal with, but in ways that are actually useful? And so on the Ozark site, you'll see that he's got a list of people who've notionally signed up for it. It's not contractually binding, it's just aspirational at the moment. And it would be nice to kind of think that, this community is kind of trying to raise the bar when it comes to open BIM and use of IFC. So I'm open for questions and feedback, and if you think it's all rubbish, fine. Let me know. I'll find something else to do in life. But I think it would be good to have a conversation and I'd be interested in your thoughts. Thank you.
Hi. Do you have some rules in solid paper how you can find like components that are model mismodeled, like you have the pies that were modeled as slabs?
I suppose I should say I've tried to keep all the other technical stuff out of this, but I would think to actually do this, people would say, well, how about we just create an IDS for all these things? To assist. And also to have examples. So people offer something up and say, here is something at that level, and here's the content, and I've assessed it, and there's something there. But does that answer your question? No?
Yeah, I was just thinking if you have created some rules sets to find those components that are mismodeled, so that you can pinpoint and give feedback.
Yeah. Well, to me, people have different checking tools, and I think that if this is kind of a worthwhile thing, that we would be adding criteria for the checks and have them arranged at those tiers that people can could use.
Hi again. Maybe I can have some examples to share here. I will share my experience. I am from buildingSMART, Portugal. And like 3 or 2 years ago, I launched this proposal to develop a work breakdown structure that coordinated not only construction companies, but also project technicians, so they can somehow have a standard to where they put the prescriptions and the quantities, because everyone was using a different template. And we'll be working like for 1.5 years on that. We actually managed to converge completely different stakeholders, big companies, small companies, micro companies, the state, the universities, and we managed to create this work breakdown structure. And we are mapping that to the IFC classes and properties and etc. So my idea was to give governance to the IFC and to help to provide to our community in Portugal a mapping of how they can, when they are exporting to IFC, to have a common ground and understanding what is expected. So to create predictability from scratch, from the project, from the architect, the engineer, till the contractor, they will have predictability that the information they will design, when it's exported to IFC, we'll have a common understanding and where it is, how do you say it, expected to be. And we are now just finishing that, and we decided to show to our community. We will have in 23rd of October an Open BIM Day in Portugal, and we developed a proof of concept using some simple elements, structural elements, and to show that it's easily, if you go through those rules, those mappings that we are providing, we can extract quantities and also estimate costs with simple and open tools, and we can store that information in that specific drawer that is the work breakdown structure. And when I was seeing this, I kind of, how do you say, like a deja vu of what we are doing actually, because I could totally agree with you. we have defined so far tier 1 and 2. And we see that in some disciplines, especially architecture and structural, we need to go deeper. And I will be glad to show the work that we have been doing. And maybe it's an example of how he was asking for, an example of that can be applicable.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. I think a forum like this is one where lots of good things are happening, and it'd be good to kind of have those conversations and share. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, great presentation, and yeah, kind of these are the I don't know, the concepts you want to check, and that could be done in it be a guide to how to make ideas.
Yep.
So that would be perfect. I went to a session yesterday about Open B Harmony by Sten Sunesen and Peter Bo from Denmark, and they are also looking into how to get good practice for modeling. Yeah, maybe it started as a European initiative, but I think it's open for everybody. So it's maybe it's possible to join forces somehow.
Yep. Yeah, certainly.
Sorry, actually, so Harmony was developed dynamized by Steen, and there were other members like Peter Bo and Charlie Bloom and myself working on that, and we are actually trying to connect that with our work that we are doing. Yeah.
Yep. I wanted to share that the Peruvian government has a similar approach and has defined some tiers of levels of the different Open BIM standards. So they have different levels for IFC, other different levels for BCF or for IDS, for example. And you can combine these individual levels to create some Open BIM levels. So I think these are really interesting educational exercise. But sometimes I wonder if they create a certain amount of confusion in the market. So introducing new levels of things. So I think it's nice, like this approach, but I'm not sure if the market can receive too many levels of things. To say that.
Yes, I understand, because as I was trying to convert Dion's words into a graphic, it started to get more and more complex. But then I thought, if you could filter it and just go, for a structural domain, what do you need to do? And so I think that would be another way of being able to present this. Because if you're talking about IFC, class, predefined type, properties, and you know, that group of things, they already exist. People create them. People put things in files because they don't know where else to put it. They create their own custom property. So, which is unfortunate because that just leads to more confusion. So if we could kind of publicize and have good examples, maybe some of that confusion would come out when we see, you know, a good hydraulic model, a good architectural model, and so on. But this is just a little idea looking at a really big problem. So hopefully we'll have a worthwhile conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, because you've touched upon my question prior around humans making mistakes. Reflecting yesterday on the PSET session, and I think what you're trying to do here is really give people a quick understanding on their ability to deliver based on, here you have tiering. I agree completely with your comment around levels. Coming from the UK, yeah, don't do levels. It's not a good idea. Do you see potentially this being connected with some of the PSET stuff around people's ability to deliver based on tiers or whatever you want to call it, an easy way to understand, a quick way to kind of know what they really should be delivering without, as you said, creating their own? So connecting the two together slightly.
That thought hasn't occurred to us. But But I suppose in defining anything, it's how do people find out about it and how do people get good at it? So I suppose that will come from, if we have something worthwhile that's been generated, well, how can we actually publicise that and get people to use it? But I'd like to think that, again, part of the construction domain's scope is to educate people on IFC. So, and that's just a general thing. And I hope that this is not directing people to LODs and a lot of other terminology, but it's just like, it's IFC concepts, things like cost and time, virtually no one uses. Those concepts exist. Let's use them. And the sustainability stuff, let's use it. And when it comes to even like documents that get created, there are places in the IFC schema for having that, classifications, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, just a comment to this. So I'm looking forward to the IFC5 results in 10 years or whatever. But meanwhile, I think the job of buildingSMART International is to do exactly what you guys are doing and the Open BIM Harmony is trying to do, which is to, okay, how can we, given what we have today, move a little bit forward and take another step? So I really commend the initiative, and I agree with previous speakers that maybe there is a collaboration between Open BIM Harmony, and maybe we can lift this up on a higher level on buildingSMART International to really move this forward. Because I think there is, today to talk about just naming conventions on files, how do you do that? Just really practical stuff. I think the BIM collaboration format, which is a communication protocol, in my opinion, is underutilized. There is much more to be given there in terms of value for each project. So we have a lot of interesting things to do, given what we have today. Thank you so much.
I agree with that, and I think what's lacking in the buildingSMART ecosystem are good quality examples. So what does good look like? And I think that is because most people are doing their job well-intentioned and as good as they can. And when they get a 300-page document about this is what model's meant to contain, sometimes it's like one good example, and maybe an ideas file and a few other things. People go, oh, is that all I need to do? So I think that's the missing link. We've got all this great technical stuff, and we've got international standards. People on the ground just need some practical help, and so that's why I'm saying I'm in the weeds. Solve things down there.
So thank you, Scott, very much for this presentation, and send our regards to Dion, one
Sure.
of the most brilliant minds in our industry and in our world. So just want to fully agree with the others. So we need just to coordinate the activities and other initiatives together. And I fully agree with what Howard said. We should not wait for another 10 years. We should start doing something immediately and showing the benefits of all of the things we have as you presented. We have a lot of things in IFC and BCF. What is my suggestion, and maybe a question to all of you, is what do you, I'll just explain to you the case is, let's say, as Ken mentioned, we have also clients with, let's say, 200 projects. They have 20, 30 versions of this project stored on our CD. And let's say the average model have 100,000 elements, sometimes usually even more, with, let's say, 100 properties. I just give you math. We have sometimes with our clients that on dedicated servers for them, more than 10 billion property values. And if it's file-based, on IFC file-based, we have, I don't know, million IFC files. And my suggestion is to also start discussing to, of course, keep files, but also having a database. And to have a database and relational database as a format, because then what we do, I'll tell you from our experience, We, of course, have IFC file-based system, but also database. It's million times faster when you do analysis on a portfolio level. So what do you think about idea to also establish a standard for Open BIM database? It can be implemented in Oracle, in Postgre, and now Ricardo is nodding, but just wanted to say, I know what they're doing, how they're doing amazing things with the other databases. And they just want to have it connected. And that's really what I believe users, owners, and contractors wants to have in the end. So your thoughts, maybe Scott, on this topic.
I said at the start, I wasn't going to mention the two-letter acronym that people keep bounding about. I won't mention it again, or the other version of IFC that's coming out. All that's good. I mean, all those technical developments are great, databases and so on. Again, I'm just focused on the people making models right at the bottom, because you can automate stuff. You can kind of, use that other form of intelligence, but unless what you start with is any good. And so I suppose I've got very low expectations. I'm aiming right at the bottom just with this presentation, and I think all that stuff is great. And because, again, my experience working for a contractor is that the fundamental stuff is unhelpful. There's so much extra work, that rehash that goes on just to get it to a useful form. And I think, so I'm not answering your question, because, I'm looking down here and, the clouds are up there, and that's important too. But so I think where we aim our conversation at the moment, I'm just focused on this. So I'm yes. Okay.
There is one more question, please.
Oh, right.
Sorry, last one maybe. My name is Bas, I'm from the Netherlands, and I got a question about the naming convention, because it got me quite baffled that we are using, in the examples that I see, the date in the names of the IFC files. And I was wondering why, because the first thing that we teach in the Netherlands when we're using common data environments is that we skip the date, because when we're talking about a single source of truth, we always keep the name, and maybe we use the ISO 9650 for naming convention. So I was wondering, why do you use the dates? Because it's tons of work for the modelers to add the date, and also for the document controller to constantly make new federation models based on the new files that are coming. But if you keep your name without any dates, then you just have version control on your file with naming convention, and you only have to update the files within your tooling. So maybe I didn't understand the reason why you add dates, but in the Netherlands, it's the first thing that we teach to do not use dates in names. So if you can elaborate more on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And I understand what you are saying. But why we set date for naming convention is imagine if the BIM world is like the financial world, and then you can see the board, showing the price of the stock. It's changing in minutes or in the second. So if you don't set the naming and then fix the file, the timestamp, you can't check or make the federation of the files. So the one file, it's okay, linearly, the changing. But if you check with the 3 or 4 files to creating a federation model, the slice of the time should be set. So what we do is set the date for the name of the file. But if the system, the CDE, has that kind of the record or the very, very precise a time, the stamp within, and you can refer. And then if you can handle all those newest file at the same time, and then make the federation model. I guess that we don't need to set a date for the file name, is my answer.
To change the subject very quickly, to go back to what was just said about the database. So I just a quick point about absolutely 100% agree. Also on your response, that's 100% agree. But I was just in the UCM, right? Because we have this system called UCM for use cases, right? And I was like, I'm going to go check if there's any guidelines on IFC mapping for construction. Out of the entire UCM database in English under guideline, which is proven, there is one for the entirety of buildingSMART, and it's for how to use IFC foundation classes in exchange formats for reinforced concrete. That one document is 57 pages. That is, I think, goes back to the point. If we want people to use this stuff, we have a system, UCM. That's where it should be. And these guidelines need to be very clear, stipulated, plain language. And the fact we only have one, and it's for a very small part of construction, and it's 57 pages, no wonder the industry looks at it and goes, nah, I'm not gonna read that or do that. Just a high level point.
I certainly agree that UCM has huge potential, but there are huge gaps. And even if you go for IDM, you filter by IDM for English, there's not much there. There's one on bridge, which is actually not so bad, but how many people here work on bridges? Maybe there's a lot, I don't know. But I think in going from IDM to use case management, there's been a gap. There's a whole lot of great stuff that was done over 20 years ago for IDMs that don't, if you go to the website now, it just goes, no, there's nothing here. And so then you've got to do a web search. And so I think I agree, there's a huge gap there for real-time guidance. And I think what was done on IDM, we've thrown the bath and the baby and the water all out at once, which is unfortunate. And I think the one on bridge, the use case management there has, I think, 18 different components. And so within that, it has cost as one use case. And you go, but even that doesn't have much detail. The best IDM that I ever saw, maybe I haven't, I've lived under a rock, was one that the US did for steel. And it was a later version, and it was really good for designing steel, using steel, and then it went down to the content of each of the exchange models. So, okay, I might stop there. We could go on forever. We shouldn't. It's now past 10:30, so thank you for coming. Your feedback and your interest is welcome, because I know a tiny amount. All of us in the room know different things. Wouldn't be good to collaborate and make our worlds a bit better. So thank you very much.